Hello again, everybody. This is Dan Clouser, and welcome back to the Journey of My Mother's Son podcast. Joined today with Jack Graham, who's the general manager of the Aberdeen Ironbirds, a branch of Ripken Baseball.
Yeah.
Jack, thanks for joining me today.
It's a pleasure to have you here in Aberdeen. It's another beautiful day at Leidos Field at Ripken Stadium. We're getting ready for another Ironbirds game tonight, but it's good to take a minute and hang out with you.
Absolutely. I appreciate it. We go back to 2015, I guess, when you had started with the amateur side of Ripken Baseball, and reached out to us about bringing a team down here for a tournament, and we did, and we kind of clicked for whatever reason. I thought it was pretty cool. We actually had our first game down at Hartford, and you came down to hang out with me for 45 minutes or so during that game, and it was something I didn't feel you had to do, but I appreciated it. Stuck with me. And, I just kept your info in my phone from that point on. We connected on LinkedIn, and I saw that shortly after that you had moved from the amateur side to the pro side. Been in the pro side, moving up the ranks till finally here you are. GM of the Ironbirds, which is pretty cool. So one of the things, well, before we get into the main topic of why I reached out about this, just let's give a little bit of background as to Jack's journey to get here.
Yeah, absolutely. So I spent most of my youth in Fairfield, Connecticut. It's a town, southern coast of Connecticut, just north of New York City, sort of a commuter town, and went to Fairfield Ludlow High School. I graduated and went to Kenyon College, which is a small Division III school in Ohio. We most notably known for Paul Newman having attended. And so after I got done at Kenyon, I was drafted by the Baltimore Orioles in the 38th round. Mild amount of nepotism there. My uncle Brian was the director of player development for the Baltimore Orioles at the time. He spent 35 years in professional baseball. Really well recognized guy. He spent time with the Indians and Orioles and Marlins and Pirates. And he gave me an opportunity to sort of ride the bus and live the minor league life for a few years. And one of those years included a stop in Aberdeen in 2013. I was very lucky to play with Trey Mancini, Mike Yastrzemski, Chance Sisco, Austin Wynns, a handful of other guys who have made an impact in the big leagues for various major league clubs. And really just get a grasp on what it meant to be a professional baseball player, what it meant to be a grown-up, what it meant to be a coworker, whether we acknowledge it or not. Professional baseball players are co-workers with each other. You got to spend a lot of time together in very confined spaces. And when the Orioles finally said, hey, thanks for contributing, but you got to go get a big boy job now, I called Ripken Baseball because my host family here in Aberdeen worked for the company, and I said, hey, can I please come work in the front office? Can I please come work on the non-player side of baseball? And I got an opportunity to sell for Ripken Baseball, the Ripken Experience, who have facilities in Aberdeen and Myrtle Beach and Pigeon Forge. And that began my understanding of the Ripken family's contribution to the game of baseball, the Ripken family's contribution to youth baseball specifically. Everyone knows Cal, everyone knows The Streak, everyone knows Billy and his time on MLB Network, but the underlying principles that built our business and that built the Ripken family came from Cal Sr. There's a ton of quotes attributed to Cal Sr. about how to live your life, how to run your business, how to be the person that Cal and Bill grew up to be. And those principles still guide our business, and it's really great to connect with people like you who come and experience the Ripken Experience and experience the Aberdeen Ironbirds and see what Cal built and what he brought back to his hometown. So it's been really fun to be here. I've been here 6 years now, and every day I learn a little bit more about this community and about what baseball and what the Ripken family mean to this area.
Yeah, and I think that's so cool because there's definitely a culture within Ripken Baseball. And before you and I connected, we had a relationship with Ripken Baseball. We had actually helped run a tournament in Myrtle Beach in 2005, I want to say, when Tim Desu was the GM down there of the facility. And again, Tim and I really hit it off. He then connected us with Billy, had Billy come speak at our banquet in 2006. and Billy and I have stayed in contact since that time. There are a couple takeaways that I learned from Bill just in a short time. I remember one thing that he said during his speech, where he said, my brother's playing career does not define him as a man, which I thought was, pretty incredible statement. Just, there's a lot more to you as a human being than what you did on the baseball field. And I, doing what I did in youth baseball, I have had the, fortunate experience of meeting a lot of ex-major leaguers.
Yeah.
And they're not all great people, and I think that, that culture that came down from senior was pretty important, and I think Cal and Bill both took that to heart.
Yes.
The other thing that I learned was a few years later, Billy actually came up to our facility. I had no idea he was coming. He was actually coming. His kid was playing in a soccer tournament.
Cool.
I had one of my gate guys get me on the radio, and they're like, Dan, I think Bill Ripken just came in the parking lot. And in my mind, I'm just thinking he's there for a baseball tournament.
Right.
Like, do we have any teams from Maryland here this weekend? And I'm like, we don't have any. And just as I'm kind of playing this through my head, he drives past me, and he's like, hey. And we start talking, and he's like, no, I'm here for soccer. How do I get to soccer field too?
That's great.
And as we're talking, he's telling me the story. He says, people ask me if it bothers me that my son doesn't play baseball, that he plays soccer. He goes, and one thing that Dad told Cal and I when we were kids is that he would never ask us to go to the ballpark with him. He told us from the beginning, if you guys want to ever go to the ballpark with me, ask me at dinner, and you'll come with.
Yeah.
But I never want you to feel that because baseball is my passion, that it has to become your passion.
Yeah.
He goes, if it becomes your passion, I'll open every door that I can for you.
For sure.
But I don't ever want you to feel that you have to follow. So Billy said, soccer and basketball are my boys' passions. And that's fine with me. So I think that was very telling, and it tells of the culture that's here. So when you first got here, how quickly did you understand the culture of Ripken baseball, or maybe even when you played here?
Right. It was not when I played here. I wish that it had been. The closest that I got to the culture when I played here was a plaque in the clubhouse next to the door that leads to the field, and it's still there. And it's a quote from Cal Sr., and it's probably his most well-recognized quote because we put it on T-shirts and we put it on signs, and it says, "Hustle takes no skill." And that quote, I didn't know who it was, I didn't know where it came from, but it was something that the boys and that the team wanted to be a part of the clubhouse. The Orioles employ the players, the Orioles manage the players, the Orioles decide who comes to Aberdeen, but the impact that we can have, especially back then when we were a short season single A team and these guys were brand new professional baseball players, the impact that we can have is to teach them how to interact with this community and how to interact with the fan community moving forward. And so that was the closest I got at the time. But I'm very fortunate that the impact that the culture made on me when I first was employed here as a front office employee, as a administrative employee, was right away. It was immediate. Andy Levy, who still works for the Ripken Experience, he works with a ton of youth baseball teams who come to the Ripken Experience, the 3 different facilities, and he was my manager. He hired me and he trained me, and for 2 or 3 days, he spent 8 hours a day teaching me the products, obviously the tournaments, the camps, the history, the sort of questions that customers would ask. But he also spent a significant amount of time talking about the culture that Cal and Bill built, the principles that guided this business, and the reason that we're here. Because ultimately, youth baseball to the Ripken family was not about money. It was not about prestige. It was not about any of the trappings of what most people see as the youth baseball industry today, where you have to spend $300 on a bat, you have to spend $1,000 per kid to go to a tournament in upstate New York that we all know who I'm talking about, and it was about making a difference and creating remarkable experiences through the game of baseball. That was the mission statement that Andy wrote for our business when he was the sales director, and he still sells, and he's raising a family here in Hartford County. And the 4 guiding principles that Cal and Bill initially started this business with were: keep it simple, celebrate the individual, have fun, and I'm going to forget the 4th one, and it's going to be embarrassing.
And I should know the 4th one as well.
But those principles, which I will remember the 4th one, and I'll shout it out, and it'll be weird. But some of those really important principles that guide our business are still in place. They're all still in place today, and that culture that the boys created was really, really important and helped to guide who I was when I worked for that business, who I am now that I work for this business. And the question I still ask myself every day when I get up is, if Cal walks in today and sees what we're doing in the office or on the field or at the game or at the Ripken Experience, will he and his brother say, this is what we want to happen here, this is why this business is here? So it was immediate because of Andy Levy, and it's hopefully ongoing to some extent here with the Ironbirds.
Yeah, and I know Andy as well through my interactions with Ripken in the past, and yeah, you can definitely tell. And like I said, our organization, we would send coaches to Ripken clinics.
Yep.
We would what we called our teams the Berkshire way.
Yep.
Was quite frankly almost completely plagiarized from the Ripken way.
Sure.
And the coaching clinics that we would attend, and
right.
We went to several where we took a group of coaches down there because we wanted our coaches to learn from the best.
Sure.
So yeah, it's amazing how a lot of times you don't really know what that ripple effect does.
Yeah.
So I can tell you firsthand that it's important.
Yeah.
It had, our old organization, Big Vision Foundation, and Berkshire Baseball was very much influenced by Ripken Baseball.
I just I searched the 4 core principles because I had to know. It's keep it simple, explain the why, and that's the one that I forgot because hopefully it's so ingrained that I don't need to remember the pillar. But have keep it simple, explain the why, celebrate the individual, and have fun.
Yes. Yeah. So. And it is. It's that culture. It's a big deal. And another really short story on my end regarding my interaction with Ripken Baseball. The year that Cal got inducted into the Hall of Fame, I was doing some stuff with you guys. Had to come down here to meet with Kath Fensel, who's probably gone by the time you got here. And a little side note is, when I was a kid. Which is weird. I'm a Red Sox fan, but my favorite player was a guy I never saw play, which was Lou Gehrig, because as a young man, I read an article in Sports Illustrated about Lou Gehrig and understood, again, the man he was as opposed to just the player he was. So as Cal was approaching his streak, I did not want him to break Lou Gehrig's streak.
I think you were not alone.
It wasn't that I didn't like Cal.
Right.
It's just I didn't want to see the streak get broken. So when he did, there's just kind of a little bittersweetness to it, But the year that Cal got inducted into the Hall of Fame, the week prior to the induction ceremony, I had to come down here and meet with Kath. And I get here, and you guys are running a 12 and under baseball clinic, and I'm over where the tent is now, just waiting for Kath to come up. And just kind of looking around. I think that was actually my first time ever here, and I'm looking around and I see Cal down on the field working with 12-year-old kids 3 days before he's getting inducted into the Hall of Fame. And that's when I was like, if anybody deserved to break Lou Gehrig's streak, it's that man there.
Well, and he talks about his father telling him about Lou and telling him about the baseball player that Lou was, but the man he was as well. And this past June 2nd, when Major League Baseball finally implemented Lou Gehrig Day across baseball, Cal was featured prominently in a video about Lou, naturally. I think everyone assumed that would be the case, and Cal feels it's an honor being connected with Lou. And he talks about learning who Lou was off the field as much as he was on the field, because really, as you said, not every major leaguer, not every person, it's not about major leaguer or not every person is a good person. And to live up to the legacy that Lou built on the field is great, but off the field is really important to him as well.
Yeah, and that is. And so, again, from that day on, I was like, yeah, that's the guy who should have broke the record. Because I can't even imagine what his schedule looked like leading up to, Hall of Fame induction day. And the fact that he found it important enough to put every press request, every interview request on hold that day in the hot sun to work with 12-year-old kids.
And he knows what the impact of that was.
Yeah.
On you, just seeing it peripherally, but on those kids too.
Yeah. So it's very cool. So that kind of brings us to what I really want to talk about today. Again, like I said, we've, since we interacted, we, stayed connected on LinkedIn, and I don't know how long it was ago that you started your Gratitude Tuesday.
Yeah.
I don't know if you call it a campaign or
I don't know what it is either.
But I don't know if I saw the first one or the 21st one and when it happened. But I saw it and I read it and I'm like, wow.
Yeah,
that is fun. Really cool. And now I look forward to Tuesdays and going on LinkedIn and seeing what your Gratitude Tuesday is. So tell me a little bit about how that came about.
Sure.
And why do you think it's important?
Sure. So I will have to say that I can't pinpoint the exact impetus or reason why I started doing it, but I can tell you that I was I was watching an Instagram Live with Emily Jansen, who is the general manager of the Reno Aces, which is I believe they're the Diamond D-backs affiliate out there in Reno, Nevada. And she's a phenomenal businesswoman. She's well respected in our industry. She's a mother. She's a hard worker. She's a wife. She really has helped to build that team into a well-recognized, along with Eric Edelstein, who's their president, into a well-recognized part of our industry. And she was talking about gratitude. She was talking about being cognizant of it. She was talking about being thankful, and not just about the things that you have in your life, but the people that make every day at the business or in your home or in your community easier and more fun. And it ties into the core pillar that we talked about, which is celebrate the individual, that Cal Sr. endowed to his sons, to his family, and our business. And to me, it means a lot because I think you, having run a business and a nonprofit, understand how important it is. And we've all been employees, we've all had bosses, how important it is to hear that you are important. And for me, that was important because minor league baseball and sports in general is a youth-driven industry. Our customers tend to be young, our employees tend to be young, our audience is young. And so to have positive reinforcement, to have a positive impact, to have someone tell you that they are thankful for you, it's not just when you're young that it's important, but it is reinforcing. And so whether it is the thankfulness that I have for our fans every day, that they come and they spend money here and they value our team and they take as much ownership in this club and this place as I do, or if it's for a new employee who just came on board because they are really excited to start their career in sports management, or if it's for a particular partner who's making an impact in our community with our help, those things are important and they're worth recognizing. And so it has to do with Emily inspiring me to do that. It has to do with Cal and Bill imparting celebrate the individual as a principle. And it's also about making sure that I'm taking 20 minutes or 10 minutes or 5 minutes or however long it takes to build that post every Tuesday to remember it's not about whether or not there's rain in the forecast. It's not about whether we won or lost last night. It's not about how many hot dogs we sell. It's about creating a community and creating an attitude of gratitude, which I didn't mean to do, but I did I did it sort of on purpose, because ultimately the Ironbirds have had hundreds and hundreds of employees over the last 19 seasons. This is season number 19, and we will have many, many more in the future. But if I can build a culture here that is about gratitude and teamwork and thankfulness to have an opportunity to do this for a job, come to a ballpark every day, then they will take that out into the world and hopefully continue to spread that. And so I'm hopeful that the people who I call out and who I thank and who I'm grateful for on LinkedIn are not embarrassed. I am hopeful that other people see it like you and understand that it's not about me talking about how great I am. I try not to do that. But it's about genuinely being thankful and being trying to be thoughtful about what I have in my life that's not just things.
Yeah. I can relate to that because we got rid of all of our things.
You did. You're living a monk life.
Ago.
Yes.
Sure am. But yeah, I think, there's so much in today's world to get us down.
Yeah. There is, especially in the last 18 months.
Yeah. And I think that, that attitude is, so important. And I think that's something that, as athletes, as baseball players, that's one of the metaphors. Baseball is a metaphor of life.
Right.
So I think that's one of the things that, that is true because there's things on the field you can't control.
Yep.
Other than how you respond to them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what having an attitude of gratitude.
Mm-hmm.
Helps with. It's how you respond. Because, if you go on social media
mm-hmm.
and spend an hour,
God forbid an hour.
5 minutes even.
Yeah.
There's a lot of ugly stuff that can pop up on your screen.
For sure.
And how you react to that, how, the attitude you take in that, I think is really important. So, my wife and I had, how long ago it was, started a gratitude list where we'd wake up and sometime throughout the day we write down 3 things that we were grateful for, and that just changes your outlook on the day.
Yeah.
Because you can easily come up with 3 things that you're aggravated about.
Oh, yeah.
But it's what you focus on. It's what we attract what we give out a lot of times, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think that's really cool. And like I said, it inspires me, to see it. I look forward to
Cool.
it. I probably only go on LinkedIn on Tuesdays, to be honest with you.
Well, it's good to know that it's giving you a reason to look to social media for something other than to get yourself riled up, because I do that too. I go on Ironbird social media, I go on my social media, I go on different pages throughout our community, and I am looking for the things that I want to see and not the things that I don't want to see. But it's always not always as easy done as said.
Yeah, that's for sure. Have any of your employees come back to you on that day or the day after and say, "Wow, Jack"?
Yeah, I think it was probably my first post was for Kevin Jimenez. KJ is our graphic designer, our entertainment director, our IT director. He is sort of the adult in the room in a lot of ways. He is very thoughtful. He spent 20 years with the Brooklyn Cyclones, almost 20 years with the Brooklyn Cyclones before coming to Aberdeen to work for the Ironbirds. He is an incredibly talented, smart, thoughtful person, and we're very lucky to have him. And part of the reason that I wrote that particular post was to thank him. It very easily could have been the only one I ever did. I managed to keep it going through, luck and a desire to celebrate those things that I mentioned. But KJ, as he goes by, is a guy who is very thoughtful in what he says, what he does, how he does it, and I'm lucky that I'm lucky that he's here. And so he came back and he thanked me for that, and I think that as an older person, as a person with more experience in the workplace, who's had supervisors who maybe we've all had bosses who don't say thank you, and it sucks. So I think it meant something to him because he's been in other workplaces where that sort of thing doesn't happen, and I really appreciate him. I needed him to know it, and it brought us closer and it strengthened us. And I've had other employees say similar things, but I think that they know that to a certain extent I'm tooting their horn, and they don't need to come and say anything about it, because for me, the way that they can thank me is just to continue to do the things I'm already thankful for.
Right. That's cool. So we're just about out of time, but before we get to our final question, anything you want to bring up that we missed?
If you're in the area, Ironbirds tickets start at $15.
No,
no, honestly, it's a pleasure to have you here, and I appreciate it. I'm looking forward to the final question. But the thing that I hope, and I don't know if it's happened yet because I don't keep track of it, but the thing that I hope is that people who see those posts on LinkedIn do something like a gratitude list, even if it's just for themselves, even if it's not on social media, even if it's not in a comment on my post. I hope that people take those posts and that sentiment and take it into their lives with them, to be thankful, because if this last year and a half has taught us anything, it's that it could all disintegrate in a moment. And so be thankful now, because you're not going to get a chance in the future when it's gone.
Yeah, isn't that the truth? Yeah, I mean, we could, we probably talked for 40 minutes before we hit the record button, so we could definitely talk all day long. Again, it's just something, from years ago.
Yeah.
We just kind of connected, and
Sure.
It's cool when you meet people like that who are cut from the same cloth.
Yeah.
And like I said, it was very impactful that you came over and hung out while our team was playing over there at the community college, and it's made an impact on me, and that's why I wanted to reach out, and we knew we were going to be here.
Very cool.
For 4 days.
Well, let that be a lesson to young salespeople who are building themselves as a brand. And again, not to toot my own horn, I'm sure that I, didn't think much of it at the time. But if you are someone who is building yourself as a recognizable person within your own business or someone else's business, a big philosophy that I'm sure someone years and years and years ago came up with it, but we stole it from the El Paso Chihuahuas. We have a sign in our office by the doors that lead to the concourse that says, "Today is someone's first Ironbirds game." And today is someone's first Ripken Experience youth baseball tournament. And someone is having their first experience at whatever business that you work at, or whatever nonprofit that you represent, or today is your first day interacting with someone at the grocery store or on the road or wherever. And the impact that you make today could lead to a podcast in 6 years. You never know.
There you go. That's cool. All right, so brings us to our final question. And like I said, generally by the time I get here, I feel that we've already answered it, but I like to kind of just drive home that one nugget. So again, the subtitle of the podcast is "Many Little People in Many Little Places," and it comes from a song, Gloria by Michael Franti, where the opening lyrics say, "When many little people in many little places do many little things, and the whole world changes." So what are one of the little things that Jack Graham does on a daily basis to help make the world a better place?
My favorite thing to do at every Ironbirds game, and I do it from the moment that the gates open until the moment that the gates close and throughout the game, is to thank people for coming to the baseball game. We're a small business. We're a small, local, family-owned business. The family happens to be the Ripken family, but we are 14 full-time employees with a small game day staff of ushers and ticket takers, and not every single fan gets to hear thank you when they go to a business. Business is transactional. A lot of business is online. A lot of business is very impersonal, and it's very important to me that our fans know that I appreciate them coming here to enjoy an Ironbirds game, because it is my livelihood. It's the business that we run. It's the way that we get to feed ourselves. And I thank people for coming through the front gates. I thank children for coming, and when they're holding their cotton candy, I thank season ticket holders of 19 seasons for coming, not because they don't know that I'm here or that they don't know that we're a business, but because ultimately this is a relationship business. And so my hope is that just thanking them for coming. Maybe it'll be once this season. Maybe I'll say it to somebody 60 times over 60 games. But I hope that little thing, just thank you, and it ties into gratitude, and it ties into celebrating the individual and having fun, all of that stuff. I hope it makes an impact, and I hope that others in my organization and others in other organizations do the same, because sports is not life or death. Sports is not an essential industry, as we learned last year, and so I hope that people understand how thankful I am to be able to make a living in baseball, and I'm going to do it again tonight at the second game between the Ironbirds and the Renegades.
That's cool. Jack, I really appreciate your time. I know the life of minor league baseball on a homestand. That was my biggest, when I looked at the schedule, I'm like, man, I'm not sure if he's going to be able to squeeze it in on a homestand week. I was really hoping you guys were going to be on the road. So I really do appreciate you taking the time out. I know how busy it gets on game days, so I do appreciate that for sure. And I look forward to it. And if nothing else, you know that you're inspiring one old fat guy driving around in the RV with your Gratitude Tuesday.
Well, you're inspiring me by living a life that you want to live, and that you are, and that you work toward, even if you didn't know you were working towards this life. So the feeling's mutual.
Awesome. Folks, again, check out my other podcasts and blogs at danclouser.com. Jack, again, thank you so much for your friendship and for taking the time out today.
Thanks, Dan. Ironbirds.